Have you ever sat down with a bowl of dried fruit or sliced into a juicy melon, believing you were making a truly virtuous choice for your body? Perhaps you felt a flicker of pride for choosing fruit over a cookie or a bag of chips. I understand that feeling. It feels right, especially when we are trying to be mindful of our health. But what if I told you that some of the very fruits we reach for, the ones we trust to be safe, even wholesome, might be quietly working against us? It often begins subtly. A little dizziness after a snack. Maybe your heart skips a beat now and then. Or perhaps you wake up feeling more tired than when you went to bed, no matter how much you slept. It's easy to dismiss these things, to tell yourself, it's just age. But deep down, a quiet voice insists that something isn't quite right. I've spoken with so many thoughtful people who were stunned to learn that their fruit choices could be connected to their blood pressure, their blood sugar, or even their risk of a stroke. No one had ever told them, no one warned them that sugar can hide behind a healthy label, or that certain fruits, particularly the dried ones, can interfere with common medications. Today, we're going to talk about these quiet dangers, gently, clearly, and honestly. You won't find fear here, only truth, and the simple, powerful choices you can make, starting today. Before we begin, if you've ever reached for fruit thinking it was the healthier option, type A1 in the comments below. If you've never been fooled by fruit, type A0. And be sure to subscribe, so you always stay in the loop with Health 365. Now, let's take a closer look at that first, innocent-looking snack that might just be silently hardening your arteries. Imagine the scene. You sprinkle a handful of raisins over your morning oatmeal, or toss them into a salad, thinking, this adds a touch of natural sweetness. It must be good for me. It's a moment many of us have shared. But here is the truth we often overlook. While raisins may be tiny, they pack a formidable punch of sugar. As grapes transform into raisins, the water evaporates, but the sugar becomes intensely concentrated. A single handful can rival the sugar content of a candy bar, causing a sharp spike in blood sugar that puts a strain on your blood vessels. This is especially risky for anyone dealing with diabetes, pre-diabetes, or the slower metabolism that comes with age. Now, why does this matter for your brain? Because when your blood sugar surges like that, again and again, the delicate lining of your arteries begins to suffer. It grows stiff and loses its flexibility. The smooth, life-giving flow of blood to your brain is gradually interrupted. Over time, this can elevate the risk of plaque buildup, making it harder for blood to reach its vital destination. And all of this from a few raisins? It might sound hard to believe, but it's a reality many doctors have witnessed. They see patients who, in an effort to do better, swap cookies for trail mix, only to discover their healthy choice was sabotaging their own well-being. One woman I spoke with had added raisins to her cereal every single morning for years. After she switched them for a few slices of fresh pear, her blood sugar levels stabilized within weeks. She was shocked, but more than anything, she was relieved. If you cherish that burst of sweetness in your breakfast or snack, consider switching to a few slices of crisp apple or a handful of fresh berries. They are lower in sugar, far more hydrating, and infinitely gentler on your blood vessels. Let's now move gently to our next fruit, one that often seems like a perfect summertime treat, but could be sending mixed signals to your heart. There's something undeniably comforting about cutting into a ripe cantaloupe. The color is soft, the aroma is sweet, and on a warm day, it feels like the ideal healthy indulgence. But for some, especially those with kidney concerns or on certain medications, cantaloupe can quietly stir up trouble. Cantaloupe is rich in potassium. Under normal circumstances, that's a good thing. It supports muscle and heart function. But when your kidneys aren't operating at full capacity, or if you're taking diuretics, your body can struggle to process excess potassium. This is where the risk lies. An overabundance of potassium in the blood can trigger irregular heartbeats. It may not feel dramatic, perhaps just a bit of lightheadedness or a flutter in your chest, but it's your heart signaling that something is out of balance. Then there's the sugar. While cantaloupe might not taste intensely sweet, it has a surprisingly high glycemic index. This means it can raise your blood sugar more rapidly than you'd expect. For older adults, that swift spike can lead to an energy crash, brain fog, or a sudden dip in mood, often without you ever connecting it back to the fruit you just ate. One gentleman I worked with had a habit of eating cantaloupe every night after dinner as his way of avoiding dessert. Yet his blood sugar remained erratic. After switching to a small portion of berries, his levels became far more stable, and he found he didn't miss the cantaloupe as much as he'd thought. So if you enjoy cantaloupe, do so mindfully. A few small cubes once in a while are unlikely to cause harm, but large, regular portions, especially if your kidneys need support, can be more detrimental than beneficial. Now, let's examine a crunchy snack often found in trail mixes and see how it might be nudging your arteries toward danger. There's a strange comfort in the crunch of a banana chip. You reach into the bag thinking, it's just fruit. How bad can it be? They're golden, sweet, and satisfyingly crisp. But the truth hiding behind that satisfying crunch is far from innocent. Most commercially available banana chips aren't just dried. They are deep-fried in oil and then coated in sugar. What you're actually eating is closer to a sugary, greasy potato chip in disguise. The frying process introduces trans fats, the very kind of fat known to harden your arteries like glue. As these fats accumulate, they impede the flow of blood, particularly to sensitive areas like the brain. And then there's the sugar. Even if you avoid sugar in your coffee, a handful of banana chips can deliver a startling dose. It's a double blow. Fat and sugar working in tandem to wear down your blood vessels and spike your blood sugar, all in one go. The tricky part is that it doesn't feel like junk food. There's no guilt associated with eating it. It feels natural. And that's precisely what makes it so insidious. One older gentleman I consulted with kept a bowl of banana chips on his kitchen table as his go-to snack while watching television. He couldn't understand why he felt so sluggish and dizzy, or why he suffered from frequent brain fog. Once he replaced the chips with sliced apple and a handful of almonds, his energy returned. The lesson here is not to give up snacks, but to choose snacks that love your body back. This means reading labels, avoiding deep-fried and sweetened items, and choosing foods that genuinely nourish you. If it's crunch you crave, roasted nuts or crisp vegetables are far better friends to your heart and your brain. Next, let's take a walk through a garden to a fruit that seems utterly harmless, but might be playing a confusing game with your medication. Mulberries. For some, the very word conjures memories of childhood, of picking them fresh from the tree, the deep purple juice staining your fingers. They seem like nature's candy, sweet, soft, and innocent. But even the most natural foods can have unforeseen effects, especially as we age. Here's the issue with mulberries. While often praised for their antioxidants, they also contain a significant amount of natural sugar. When dried, that sugar becomes even more concentrated. This might not sound alarming at first, but if you are one of the many older adults taking medication to manage your blood sugar, dried mulberries can quickly push your levels in the wrong direction. And the effect isn't always predictable. In some individuals, mulberries can cause blood sugar to drop too low, especially when combined with medication. That sudden crash can leave you feeling lightheaded, confused, or worse. I once spoke with a woman who had been adding dried mulberries to her breakfast, believing she was boosting her health. Instead, she began experiencing episodes where her hands would shake and her mind would feel foggy. It turned out the mulberries were clashing with her diabetes medication, creating a volatile roller coaster of highs and lows that left her exhausted day after day. The blood vessels in your brain do not respond well to that kind of ride. They require steady, stable energy, not sharp ascents and descents. These fluctuations place immense strain on your circulation, weakening the vessel walls over time. And that is when the risk of stroke begins to creep in. So, what's the takeaway? If you love mulberries, enjoy them fresh and in small quantities. But if you're on medication for blood sugar, it's wise to speak with your doctor. It's far better to make a small adjustment now than to be caught off guard later. Moving on, let's explore a fruit often found in granola and holiday treats, one that hides more added sugar than you could ever imagine. Dried cranberries. The name itself sounds festive, doesn't it? We see them tossed into granola, sprinkled over salads, or baked into muffins. Their vibrant color makes them look fresh and full of vitality. But beneath that ruby-red glow lies a substantial amount of added sugar that most people never suspect. Cranberries, in their natural state, are incredibly tart. To make them palatable, manufacturers douse them in sugar, sometimes more than double their own weight. The result is that a small handful of dried cranberries can contain as much sugar as a piece of candy. For anyone trying to protect their heart or maintain steady blood sugar, that's a significant problem. And it gets more complicated. The added sugar doesn't just cause a temporary spike. It contributes to long-term inflammation within your arteries. The walls of your blood vessels become stiff, less elastic, and more susceptible to plaque buildup. This makes it progressively harder for your brain to receive the oxygen-rich blood it needs to thrive. It doesn't happen overnight, but day by day, snack by snack, the damage accumulates. I remember a man in his 70s who added dried cranberries to his salad every single day, convinced he was making a healthy choice. After all, it wasn't candy or soda, but he began experiencing dizzy spells and a strange, persistent fatigue. When his doctor reviewed his diet, he pointed to the cranberries and gently explained how the hidden sugar was working against him. The man was shocked and a little heartbroken. But once he replaced them with fresh blueberries, his energy returned and his blood pressure stabilized. The truth is, dried cranberries aren't evil, but they are deceptive. If you enjoy them, seek out versions with no added sugar, or better yet, reach for a few orange segments or some fresh grapes instead. Your brain and your blood vessels will thank you. Next, let's talk about a sweet, golden fruit that looks harmless in your pantry, but can quietly stiffen your arteries with every bite. Apricots. They are one of those fruits that seem almost too gentle to cause any harm. Soft, golden, with a slight tartness, they feel like the kind of snack a caring grandparent would keep in a jar. And in their fresh form, apricots can indeed be a healthy part of a balanced diet. But once they are dried, the story changes entirely. When apricots are dried, their sugars become highly concentrated. A few pieces may feel light, but they deliver a heavy load of sugar to your system. And because they're small and easy to nibble on, it's incredibly easy to eat more than you realize. That steady influx of sugar can quietly raise your blood glucose, putting stress on your pancreas and, over time, hardening your arteries. What many people don't know is that the natural sugar in dried apricots behaves just like added sugar in its effect on your blood vessels. Repeated sugar spikes cause the lining of your arteries to lose its suppleness. This is the first step toward atherosclerosis, a slow, silent narrowing of the vessels that supply your heart and brain. One woman I met kept dried apricots in her purse, thinking they were a smart, low-fat snack. She would pop a few whenever she felt hungry. But over time, she developed high blood pressure and felt drained throughout the day. After she cut back and switched to a fresh peach or a small apple, she began to feel more balanced and alert. This isn't about eliminating dried fruit entirely. It's about awareness. If you enjoy apricots, try slicing a fresh one instead of reaching for the dried version. Fresh fruits contain water and fiber, which help your body process the sugars more gently and naturally. Up next, let's cool things down with a green fruit often seen in fruit salads, but which might be quietly raising your blood pressure behind the scenes. Honeydew melon. Smooth on the outside, pale green and juicy on the inside, it's a staple at summer cookouts and brunch buffets. It feels light, refreshing, and undeniably healthy. But for some, especially those over 60, honeydew may be delivering more sugar than their bodies can handle. You see, honeydew is naturally high in sugar, even though it doesn't always taste intensely sweet. That's the deceptive part. You might think, this tastes so mild, it can't be that sugary. But bite after bite, it sends a steady stream of glucose into your bloodstream. And because it's so hydrating, it's easy to eat more than you intend, especially on a warm day. What happens then? Your blood sugar rises quickly. If your body can't keep up, due to insulin resistance or the natural slowing of metabolism with age, your arteries feel the pressure. Over time, these spikes make your blood vessels less flexible. And when blood vessels lose their elasticity, it becomes harder for your heart to pump blood smoothly to your brain. That's when brain fog can set in. That's when your risk of stroke begins to climb. There was a man I knew who made a fruit smoothie every morning, always with a generous chunk of honeydew. He thought it was helping him stay light and energized, but he started noticing a need for more naps, a feeling of mental cloudiness after breakfast, and occasional heart palpitations. It turned out his morning melon was giving him more sugar than his system needed to start the day. If you love honeydew, you don't have to abandon it completely. Just keep your portions small. About half a cup is plenty. And try pairing it with something that slows sugar absorption, like a handful of nuts. That way, you can enjoy the hydration and taste without the sugar overload. Now, let's finish with a fruit that's a beautiful blend of two favorites, but might be delivering more sweetness than your body bargained for. Pluots. A playful name for a beautiful fruit. Looking at one, you might think, it's part plum, part apricot. How bad can it be? They're colorful, juicy, and appear at farmers' markets like little gems of summer. But here's what most people don't realize. Pluots are one of the sweetest fruits around, and that sweetness comes at a price your blood vessels may not want to pay. Unlike their tartar plum ancestors, pluots have been specifically bred for maximum sugar content. This means even a small piece delivers a fast, sharp hit of sugar to your bloodstream. If your body is already working hard to manage blood sugar, whether due to diabetes, prediabetes, or the natural changes of aging, Fluids can tip the balance without warning. The problem isn't just the amount of sugar, it's the speed. Your blood sugar spikes rapidly, forcing your body to scramble. Your pancreas pumps out insulin, your arteries tense under the pressure. Over time, this repeated stress wears down the walls of your blood vessels, especially those that serve the brain. What feels like a simple summer snack can become a long-term burden on your circulation. One older gentleman I knew would slice up a pluote after dinner, thinking it was a better choice than pie. But he noticed he would wake during the night feeling restless, sometimes with a pounding heart. After a checkup, his doctor suggested he reconsider his evening fruit choices. He swapped the pluots for a few slices of kiwi, and finally began to sleep soundly through the night again. If you enjoy pluots, treat them as a dessert, not a daily staple. A few slices once in a while, perhaps paired with some protein or healthy fat, can help soften the sugar's impact. This isn't about fear, it's about balance. Now that we've uncovered the hidden side of these fruits, let's bring it all together and talk about what it means for your health, your choices, and your future. So, now you know. Some of the fruits that appear most innocent can quietly cause the most harm when we aren't paying attention. This isn't about blaming the fruit, it's about understanding how our bodies change with age, how our needs shift, and how what once served us well may not serve us in the same way anymore. But here is the good news. Small changes make a profound difference. Swapping a dried fruit for a fresh one, cutting back on overly sweet varieties, and choosing those that are kinder to your blood vessels. These are not sacrifices. They are gifts you give to your future self. You deserve to feel clear-headed, steady, and strong. Your brain, your heart, and your entire body thrive when you give them the care they need, especially in these years when you have earned the right to feel your absolute best. So the next time you reach for a snack, just pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this serving my health or just my habit? Thank you for spending this time with me today. And wherever you are on your health journey, please know this: you are not alone. There is always something you can do, and it is never too late to begin. Take care of yourself. You matter more than you know.